Hello viewers, welcome to my Doctor Who themed YouTube channel, Who Ventures, and this is my review of the Doctor Who 2017 Christmas special, Twice Upon a Time. So I got a nice new notebook for this, and here is the pictures of my notes so you can read my notes. So let's go through my notes now. So just before it started, we had Mr. Schaffernacker, the weatherman, presenting the weather in a very snazzy green bow tie with a tuxedo on. Very nice. So then we get into the show. So we had previously 709 episodes ago, and we see Hartnell, and then it transforms into Bradley, David Bradley. And I thought that was good, and it was nice to see the new Polly and Ben as well as the previous Polly and Ben. So and then at the South Pole, and we see the first Doctor meeting 12, and I liked how 12 said, "Your face, it's all over the place," to sort of excuse the fact that it's obviously not William Hartnell. And then we got 12 talking about the TARDIS and about how the windows are the wrong size and the colour. And then 12 Doctor explained how the both First and 12 are in a state of grace just before regenerating, and they have the choice to change or to die. But if the First Doctor dies, then nothing can happen since. So and then the talking, and then suddenly the snowflakes freeze and they just suspended in midair, and it's going to be confusing, and 12 is looking at the frozen snowflake, and the First Doctor says, "How extraordinary," and then Mark Gatiss' soldier turns up and he says, "Is either of you a doctor?" and 12 says, "You're trying to be funny." And then we had the opening titles, and then we see Ypres 1914, and it's Mark Gatiss as the English soldier, and it's English-German face-off, and then they're about to shoot each other, and then time freezes, and it's only Gatiss' soldier that's not frozen, so he goes exploring, and then he's sucked into this sort of time thing with coloured squares and sort of effect, and timeline error, and he's teleported to the South Pole. And then we see his viewpoint of the pre-credits scene, and he's asking the doctors if they're a doctor. And then there's she's coming, it's her, and then 12 and 1 are trying to stand up to whatever this thing is that's coming, and 12 saying, and it's protected, and 1's all, you are. And then they get inside the box, like 1's trying to get the soldier go in the box, but you don't notice that it's not his TARDIS, so 1 goes in 12's TARDIS, and 1 thinks 12's TARDIS is hideous. Now, there was a bit in the preview, in one of the trailers, and it had Mark Gatiss' soldier holding up a VHS tape, and that seemed to have been cut, because I don't recall that being in it, which is a shame, really, because I thought that was a nice moment, but I think it was cut. And then there's all the 1 not knowing who 12 is, and 12 saying snap, because he's got the regen energy. And then there's the bit where he says, I become you, and he says, well, there's a few false starts, but you get there in the end. And then there's the brandy, which is in one of the, I've forgotten what they're called. The brandy is the booze cupboard, the Randalls, it's the booze cupboard that River Song was using the other time. The first Doctor, for some reason Moffat thought it was so hilarious to have the first Doctor saying a ton of sexist stuff, and that joke was rubbish. That was just too much of that rubbish. It didn't need it at all. I thought that spoilt it quite a lot. And then there's that, they've in 12's TARDIS and it's our TARDIS, and the first Doctor doesn't like that 12's got atmospheric lighting, and then he spots 12's guitar too, and he's not keen on that either. And then the TARDIS starts getting hauled up by this big spaceship. So the big spaceship gets them, and the spaceship is the Chamber of the Dead, and these are like glass people. So they walk out of the TARDIS into the interior of this spaceship, and it's all these doors, and it's very reminiscent of the Tomb of the Cybermen when they push out of their little hibernation chambers. It's very reminiscent of that. And the glass person says, you can speak with her again, and then Bill appears, and 12's scanning Bill Potts, and he doesn't recognise it, and he's saying, but what happened? And Bill says, I totally pulled. And the first Doctor's all, yeah, well, and then 12's like, where's Heather? And Bill's all like, what? I don't know. Where? What? Bill doesn't understand what's happening. And then 12's got his sonic screwdriver out, and the first Doctor's all, what's that? So it's a lot of the first Doctor being confused by the 12th Doctor, and it just makes the first Doctor look really stupid, and he's not. So I didn't like that. And then they think Bill's a duplicate, and then they found this mainframe, and it's full of these creatures, but you couldn't even tell what they were. Couldn't tell if they were meant to be like big space cockroaches or the actual Dalek blobby things running around, but you couldn't really see because it was too dark. And then they found this sort of computery style matrix section, and they say time travel technology, and it turns out these glass people are from New Earth, and they've got this big old technology now, and they've taken it, so they get these glass people are called testimony, and they can well, these glass people called testimony, and they take people at the point of death and do some with memories. And so they've got to return the soldier to his death. And then they're looking at this glass person, and the first doctor says, and 12 saying, oh, it's computer generated. And then the first doctor saying, well, the face is slightly asymmetrical. A computer can't do that. And then I was like, why can't a computer make an asymmetrical face, seeing as they're programmed by humans? And I was like, what? Why can't a computer make an asymmetrical face? Why can't a computer make one ear slightly bigger than the other? I don't know if I'm being really thick there, but that doesn't make any sense to me. And then the sunglasses fall, Dr. Sonic's sunglasses fall on the floor, and that's after 12's warned him, and then one's like shouted at him and nagged at him, saying how stupid your Sonic's sunglasses are stupid, and then they fall on the floor, and that's like leaving the doctor behind kind of thing. And then the soldier is taking Bill's place. He thinks he's I didn't get that either. He's taking Bill's place so Bill could come back, but and then 12's trying to escape, and he's saying, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm blah blah blah, and one's all, stop boasting, and says, who the hell do you think you are? Which is completely out of character, because one was such a boaster. He was like a grumpy sod, like who knew everything, and when Ian and Barbara first found the TARDIS, he was right shy to him. So that was out of character too. Moffat, you've ruined it. Sorry, I'm trying to be kind, but here's my opinions. And there's like the glass people, so there's this mechanism to teach one, and it's sort of for him flash forward and for us it's a flash back, but they're in like globy things, so the effect looks rubbish, because like this is what the doctor does, and then they just skew all the pictures and make them all silly globy things, and you couldn't really see any of it anyway, so that wasn't very good. And then 12 says and then see all these globe things, and one's a bit, what the heck were that? And then 12's all, well, they cut out all the jokes, and I thought, now I like a bit of meta, but that was too meta. So come on now, that was too meta. And then to escape the spaceship, they slide down the chains like that are connected to TARDIS and jump in the snow, so the big spaceship's nicked off with 12's TARDIS. And then 12 says to the first doctor, over to you, Mary Berry. And I was like, what? Where did that come from? What a shit. Is that meant to be funny, Stephen Moffat? Because it's not. It's a pile of crap. What the heck is that? That's rubbish. That's an insult to Mary Berry, and an insult to the First Doctor, and an insult to the viewers, and an insult to anybody who likes cake. Rubbish. So, and then we in one's TARDIS, and the vortex looked particularly pretty, so yeah. And then Moffat had more sexist jokes, like about Bill cleaning the TARDIS, so you've got a bit of racism thrown in there for good measure. Goodness sake, Moffat, it's not funny! God, something up with Moffat, thinks all let's pile on sexism and more, let's pile on more. And it's never been funny, Moffat, it's always been shit. And then I was still going on about why a computer can't make an asymmetrical face. Still don't get that. That was stupid. And as you can see from my notes, Moffat is ruining it with crap jokes. So they're in this big database thing. Okay, so I skipped ahead myself a bit. But the time travel technology. So after they've been to this big tower with the glass people, they go to the Matrix at Villengard, which I thought he'd turn that into bananas anyway, or was that somewhere else? I'm sure he turned that into Villengard, turned the killing fields of Villengard, and then he turned that into the banana factory. He turned that into the banana plantation because bananas are A's. So it doesn't make sense. So the big database and Villengard aim to the dispossessed. And apparently there's these big weird beetle things. They look like big weird beetle-y cockroaches, but I couldn't tell whether they're meant to be Dalek blobs or what they're meant to be because it was really dark and you didn't really get to see them. And then the first doctor said something to be like, behave or you'll get a jolly good smack bottom. That was kind of amusing. And the one was getting brandy out, but he had to go investigate this stuff. And so he's told Bill to get that brandy out, and Bill's hand turned to a glass person. And then when they was talking, one of 12 talking, he's talking about how he's afraid to regenerate. And then there was some shooting from a tower, and they didn't know who it was. And then 12 got scanned by whoever it was in the tower, and the tower doors opened. And 12 called one Corporal Jones. I don't know why, I didn't understand. And then the soldiers saying back and Kramer, so obviously that kind of gives it away who the soldier is. And then the glass person was there. It wasn't Bill, it was a glass person standing in front of the soldier. And 12's going into the tower, and we meet Rusty. So I was happy to see Rusty. That was lovely. Hi Rusty, that was fun. And then the doctor says, you're the first Dalek that got naked for me. So what does he mean by that? Because if we go back to 10, Dalek Khan, he practically had all these bits out. He was practically flashing her, Dalek Khan was. So Journey's End, when it was Davros and he had that daft plan and Dalek Khan was like sat there like, oh yeah, look at my bits. So he was totally in the noddy. But I assume get Dalek that got naked for the doctor means, do you remember I got really tiny and went inside you? That's weird. But apparently, so I thought that was quite a cute meeting with Rusty. And 12 wants to access the Dalek database to do something Dalek-y. I think that idea was like just dropped really quickly. Did he bother accessing the Dalek database and Dalek? I must have missed that, eh? Then one is talking to Bill Glassperson and he's saying wants to and he travelled. And it turns out he travelled and left Gallifrey to understand the relationship of good and evil. And Bill Glassperson says, oh, it's a bloke in space, it's you. And that's a bit much to lay on someone, that you're the whole pivot of good and evil, it's all on you. It's like, what the fuck? And then in 12, finds this computer system, and it's Helen Clay from the University of New Earth in mega far future, and they've invented this testimony thing, and it's like they can take the dead and they can hear their messages, and it's like they can meet the dead again, and it's like what they think is heaven on New Earth, because they think a person has a bunch of memories, so they made it so you can talk to the dead again and they can give their messages and they can die without any pain. And 12's like, oh, actually that's a good plan, now what am I going to do? And and that everyone's important to somebody somewhere. I thought that was cute. And both TARDISes, then something happens and both TARDISes go back to World War One, and they go and put the go and put the soldier back, and then we found out he's the Brigadier's dad. Well, obviously. And then it turns out, instead of the German-English soldier face-off, the soldiers start singing Silent Night, and it's a Christmas armistice, so they start singing carols and playing the football. And this is when I wrote the note, is this Capaldi's show or Mark Gatiss's? I thought it was very indulgent for Mark Gatiss. He practically took over it, and I don't think it was very fair for the twat for 12, for Capaldi. Mark Gatiss practically had massive ego and nicked most of the show like it was his time to have spotlight, and it's not. That was selfish. And then 1 and 12 shake hands and they talk about being ready, and that was good because they both got a bit of each other's regen. And then we David Bradley, who went as one, he went in his TARDIS and laid on the floor, and then it morphed back to Hartnell, so that was sweet. And we saw Patrick Troughton's face, and then 12 stroll with Bill, and he's talking about and Bill says it's really hard letting go of the Doctor, but she got him a present and it's Clara. But I'm really disappointed because Clara didn't kiss 12 and they didn't snuggle. But he got all his memories of Clara back, and he said the new Doctor's got all Clara memories. And there's obviously, I really like in shows as well, in Doctor Who specifically, that we have massive story slots where we can put more stories in and more fan art, and just fill all these different slots with our own stories. So I quite like that about it. And then Nardole turns up and he says, I'm all glass now. I only had glass nipples before. They got my hair on though. And Bill says, but you ain't got any hair. So I got invisible hair. And they talk to the Doctor, and then they have a cuddle, and Nardole's, oh, cuddle. That's so sweet. And that was sweet. And then 12 gets back into his TARDIS and he does a big speech, which I'm pleased for Capaldi, that Peter Capaldi, that he got to have lots of input into his speech and write and say what he wanted to say. So he said time to leave the battlefield, and he had a speech, never be cruel or cowardly, don't eat pears, and be kind, and try your best to be a nice person, and try and be kind. And then he said, Doctor, I let you go. So I thought that was nice for Capaldi. That felt right. And then he does big regen thing, and then he turns into Judy, and we saw Capaldi's eyes go, which is a bookend of his eyes that we saw from the start. His debut was just his eyes and the eyebrows, and his finish was just his eyes and his eyebrows, so that was lovely. And he turned into Jodie's very pretty eyes, and I thought that was beautiful. And then all the TARDISes, okay, and she gets up, she gets TARDIS monitor, she goes, oh, brilliant. I can't do Yorkshire accent yet, but she's got a Yorkshire accent and she sounds lovely. But then says, oh, the TARDIS is crashing, and she's trying to fix the TARDIS, and she falls out the TARDIS doors. So we'll find out how she has a soft landing when we see this series. But I'm really happy. I love Jodie and I think she's awesome. And I thought that was a really good first line. She delivered it amazingly, and I love Jodie, and thank you Peter Capaldi for being so amazing. And you're always the Doctor, cause wibbly wobbly timey wimey anyway. But so everybody acted it really well. It's just, I'm not sure if I would have done that story. I would have had a lot more Clara and a lot more Clara cuddles. But he's got all his memories back, and I assume those memories still stay in the Doctor's head forever. So, thank you for all your hard work, Peter Capaldi, and you're brilliant. And thank you, Matt and Pearl, for awesomeness too. But I wish most of it had been Clara. But I'm excited for Jodie. So hi Jodie, I love you. Hope you're having a wonderful Christmas. So I hope you're hang on, I should do a rating, shouldn't I? I'm torn between 7 out of 10 and 8 out of 10. So I'd say 7.5 out of 10. Yeah. So I hope everyone is having a lovely Christmas, and lots of love to everybody, and I hope you have enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Yay!